Short video. MK Mount Rushmore. That's easy. Meet Mocap Suhao Jarek. This seems like a task that's difficult for Mortal Kombat specifically because it's A, a fighting game with a multitude of characters, and B, a big chunk of them are timeless and iconic, so just choosing 4 of them is like choosing which of your children to save from an active volcano. Actually, that's easy, the quiet one, obviously. Fewer migraines a day. It's like asking Hugh Hefner to be monogamous, asking Asmongold to clean his room, Jordan Peterson to mess up his room. This is a pretty easy Mount Rushmore for me, personally, as in my totally subjective, selfish Mount Rash whore. But if we're talking about the Mount Rushmore, the fans' Mount Rushmore, the objective or common sense Rushmore, we'll have to be a bit more methodical about it. We're basically going to make a few Rushmores based on several categories and then cross-reference the most common characters off of all of them to make up the true one Mount Rushmore to rule them all. First off, Notoriety. Or better yet, what are the first 4 characters that come to mind when you close your eyes and think Mortal Kombat? And those 4 characters are obviously Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Raiden, and Liu Kang. There are other famous characters for sure. There are characters that maybe you specifically, yes, the one digging through his Taco Bell order while listening to this, grew up with more so than others. Yes, Shang Tsung, yes, Shao Kahn. But for most people, when they think Mortal Kombat, the first 4 things that pop in their heads are Get Over Here, Below Freezing Point, Bruce Lee clone, and I think even though there are plenty character associations you make when you hear the word Raiden, like this one or this one or this one, when most of us hear the word Raiden, we still think of this motherfucker first and foremost. Conversely, when most of us hear the words Mortal Kombat, we pretty much instantly think gods and big round hats. So Raiden definitely earns a spot up there if we're talking sheer notoriety, but there are other factors to consider. Factors like popularity. Notoriety and popularity may sound like the same thing, but it's wrong! Notoriety means how many people know of the thing, and popularity means how popular or well-liked is the thing. You can have notoriety without being liked, isn't that right, dog? In fact, most definitions give notoriety a decidedly negative connotation, and I think that definitely applies to Mortal Kombat as a whole within the fighting game community, because many FGC people instantly recognize the words Mortal Kombat and instantly roll their eyes. But in terms of popularity, I think neither Raiden nor Liu Kang stand close scrutiny, because, well known as they are, I don't think they necessarily count among the vast majority's favorites. Liu Kang is just that uninspired Bruce Lee clone who yells a lot, and Raiden is just a flashy guy in a tunic who yells a lot. Maybe if you've seen some of the better live-action interpretations, the character wormed his way to your heart, but otherwise I wouldn't necessarily count Raiden as most popular. The other 2 stand strong, however, so we have 2 slots to play with. Shao Kahn is a good contender, as is Shang Tsung, Kitana for sure. In fact, Mileena seems to be more popular to you brain rotters. I'll say Kitana for non-fans, because I think they more easily recognize the actual fans and the blue outfit, and Mileena only for fans because she is the only fans version of Kitana. That and the mouth is iconic. How's that for smooth talking? If your date has the maxilla of a fucking beaver and you cannot look away, you have to address it, you just go, wow, your mouth is so iconic. She'll buy it. Johnny Cage could be argued to be in here. He's been pushed quite heavily in the recent games, but I think he's just barely not popular enough to the layman. Definitely not compared to the Yellow Foreman Grill or the Ninja Creamy. Come to think of it, I don't think there's any. I mean, Sonya's pretty heavily embedded in this franchise, but I don't think she compares to Kitana. She was the yoga pants girl back before it was popular, then she kind of came into her own a bit before she and the rest of the OG cast became less and less relevant, and nowadays she was kind of replaced by her daughter, who herself isn't that popular, kind of weaves in and out of popularity, so we'll put Kitana in there for sure. And as the 4th character on our little popularity poll, all you ninja haters are gonna have a heart attack, but it's gonna be Reptile. Every time Reptile is excluded from a game or piece of media, people rage. Every time he is included but done dirty or poorly, people rage. And it's not just fans, casuals feel the same way.
Mortal Kombat without Reptile. WB, you can suck my yuck.
And if that weren't enough, there's this long list of popularity polls where he placed well. 5th best Mortal Kombat character, top 10 Easter eggs in gaming, best hidden character of the series, 25 golden hero character, Reptilian imagery is embedded into the franchise. It's on the fucking logo. The logo, the common depiction of the Elder Gods, Outworld architecture, Shang Tsung's drip and powers. These are all depictions of the real thing, yet we have the actual real thing, or at least a version of it, as a playable character, and that makes Reptile as much of a mascot as Scorpion and Sub-Zero are. That and the fact that he's a chromatic, symbolic, and gameplay-yonic combination of the 2. So the popularity Rushmore would look something like Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Reptile, and Kitana. or Shao Kahn. I think they're almost evenly matched, but I think Shao is more popular within fan circles than outside of them, whereas Kitana's pretty popular to the average skunk brain that never played a minute of Mortal Kombat in their life. They're like, oh, it's the chick with the fans from Mortal Kombat, right? It's Kitana.
This is Kitana!
People recognize her even without her weapons. Kitana doesn't need fans to shine. Pun intended. But Hokage Mountain quickly starts to crumble when we try to account for the great variety of factions, groups, and species on offer, which dwarfs many other franchises, is one of Mortal Kombat's strong suits, and is indeed one of the first things you think about when you think of MK, at least I do. So you could argue it should be properly showcased on this wall. Gods, demons, sorcerers, Shokan, Centaur, various reptilians, monster men, hybrids, undead, I don't know. What the hell even is that? Please stop. Now you could argue Reptilians, and thus Reptile, do help showcase that variety so Reps can still stay up there, except no he fucking can't, not in his ninja version because that's same shit different color, and no one wants non-ninja Reptile up there. Raiden is a god, so he fits the bill on paper, but visually gods are just normos in cosplay gear, so meh. Baraka would be a great pick, but he's just not popular enough. In fact, you could argue Mileena has a better claim this time around because she got the species variety, is way more popular than Baraka, borderline as popular as her sister, almost instantly recognizable to non-fans, and pretty much a fan favorite to super fans. Only problem is, I'm sure I'll find something to complain about. We'll keep Mileena in reserve for now. Other contenders, Goro. Yeah, Shao Kahn is close, but still cosplayer. Onaga definitely fits the bill, but not popular enough. Motaro not popular enough, and just a glorified bog-standard mythology/fantasy creature, and Kentaro's just a less popular reskin of Goro. We're on the same page so far? Yes, keep up. Goro is by far the most iconic, otherworldly thing in Mortal Kombat. And even for me, I don't find the Shokan design to be particularly interesting, and then I remember that these are supposedly half dragons, and not an ounce of flesh on their bodies looks remotely draconic, so that turns me off even more. But even with all that, when I hear the words Mortal Kombat, Goro and the Shokan are like the third or fourth thing that come to mind in the span of a few microseconds. Apart from that, the only other category of beings that might make the cut is the Borgs. Like them or not, they're a pretty big part of the series, but they're not exactly the first, third, or 12th thing most people think about when they think about this franchise. So one ninja definitely stays there, probably Scorpion, because he's got more going for him than sub-hero, like the Undead Spectre thing. Goro's definitely going up there, no doubt about that. And then, find anything? No, fuck it. Mileena's going up there too. And we still have one slot left. We could go for a sorcerer just to include one other cool category of characters, but even though Shang is super popular, he's A, still just a human, and B, not instantly recognizable to the layman. First of all, which Shang? A lot of people may recognize Carrie's Shang Tsung, but that's from a very old film, so less and less people each day. 3D era Shang is very nondescript. NRS switch up his design too much from game to game for him to stick in people's minds. MK1 to 3 Shang is more recognizable, but same problem. See what I'm saying? Shang isn't an instant boom, this is the guy. Whereas both MK tards and retards alike will look at his nemesis and instantly go, oh, it's Liu Kang, which is amusingly ironic considering he's just a Bruce Lee clone. And then the other sorcerer is fairly well known at this point. He's definitely not as human looking, which is a plus, but not that popular, not super well liked. A lot of the normos are like, wait, who is this guy? There's only one super good, super charismatic version of this character, and that's from a pretty obscure old TV show. Every other version is kind of drab, and the latest MK movie perfectly encapsulates how this character is seen by, I think, most of the world, like a soggy bagel. Fuck, man, this is harder than I thought. I think these are the finalists for the 4th spot. Cabal is a human, but he looks more monstrous than human because of his scars and has a freaky serial killer mask on and pretty distinct weaponry and powers, but he's just barely not iconic enough. Smoke is a slightly better pick because he's more iconic, showcases an entire category of beings, has super cool distinct powers, and even his human form is somewhat inhuman and more elemental, especially if you subscribe to certain newer backstories they give him. But on the other hand, if you do a quick Google search, most of the images that come up are basically just gray ninja man, so that's kind of the world's consensus on him, which we don't need another ninja up there. And even in his Borg form, you could argue is just cyber ninja, so yawn. Onaga's a beautiful pick in terms of variety because he's reptile without the drawbacks. He don't look like no ninja. In fact, he doesn't look like anything else, honestly. Really unique character with a cool design. He's just not that popular, though. Like 8 out of 10 people will go, what's an Onaga? Naga, the human serpent thing? No, Onaga, not Naga. You know, never mind. Then we got Shao, who looks human, but so roided out he may as well be a different species, and actually is a different species, rumored to be a god or half-god or something definitely not mortal-like, except we already have a big brute up there, don't need another one. And Raiden. Yes, still human-looking, but by the elder gods, he's iconic. and distinctive design, and technically a non-human species and faction, and I don't know if you noticed, but almost never is he depicted without some kind of glow or particle effect. Like even most images have some kind of lightning or glow or fun party lights, always, almost always. Also, unlike Shang, Raymond's design is far more consistent from game to game, so no matter which game you're looking at, you can instantly spot him and go, yeah, that's Raiden. So it'll have to be Raid. But not to worry, Raid Dumb is definitely not in this next category, which is accomplishments, which measures just how effective characters are within the saga, what they accomplish. And Elder Gods Consultant number 1 definitely doesn't accomplish much in the grand scheme of things. He guides Liu Kang in most iterations, helping him win the tournaments or become a god or what have you. So there's that. He shepherds and guides all the heroes during Khan's invasion. In MK3. In MK9 he does about 9,000% more harm than good. And he kills Shujinko after Shujinko fucked up and endangered the realms, in an ending that probably isn't even canon. He failed to prevent Liu Kang's death, he didn't really do any significant governing as an Elder God, failed to destroy Onaga, failed to prevent Armageddon, failed to stop Shao Kahn, stopped Shao Kahn in the next continuity but at the cost of fucking everything, needed saving in MKX, wins the tournament in M1K but he's fucking boring in that game. Yes, he fought a war against Shinnok in the lore's prehistory, but achievements prior to the beginning of the saga don't count, plus he was kinda responsible for almost holocausting entire species during said war, so no placement for Ray Ray. Shao's in the same boat. He does a lot pre-saga, conquering most of the known universe, but once the saga starts, he doesn't accomplish much of anything because he villain and villain must fail. Defeated twice, deposed by the Deadly Alliance, loses to Onaga in the Midway continuity, defeats everyone in the NRS continuity, but Raiden undoes that victory, is remarkably incompetent all throughout MK9, and ultimately loses in 9, 11, and 12. The smartest thing he does is raise Sindel from the dead so he can cheat the system and set foot on Earthrealm to reclaim her in MK3, but I don't think that's enough. What is enough is cheating death for thousands of years, orchestrating your own resurrection from beyond the grave over the course of decades, obtaining all 6 Kamidogu and Shinnok's amulet, and holding all the realms by the throat, coming closer than anyone to ultimate victory. Onaga's going up there, I don't care. Liu Kang defeated 2 tournaments, defeated Shang Tsung once, and Shao Kahn twice, so he's going up there too, like it or not. Scorpion doesn't accomplish much throughout the series. He would have if his Deception ending were canon, still one of the coolest non-canon endings of all time, but as it stands, he doesn't accomplish much apart from defeating Bi-Han, but after losing to him the first time and also ensuring a greater threat is born, or remaking the Shirai Ryu in X but then fucking up and ensuring an even greater threat is born, getting himself killed by Devora in 11. What about MK1 Scorpion? His blue counterpart, on the other hand, accomplishes a great deal. Successfully evades cyberization, starts a revolution and eventually defeats and overthrows the Lin Kuei, establishes his own Lin Kuei on the bones of his vanquished foes, helps Scorpion uncover the true culprit responsible for the death of his family and clan, trains a new generation of fighters, finds the Dragon Medallion and masters his destructive powers, mows through an entire Tarkatan platoon in his Deception ending, which we can probably log as canon, defeats Sector and establishes the new Lin Kuei in the second timeline, trains the Combat Kids, owns the Combat Kids, saves the Combat Kids, brokers a peace and an alliance with the new Shirai Ryu, destroys the ChatGPT factory along with Scorpion in MK11, and cosplays as Scorpion in 12. Kwai, what are you doing? Also, this man's resilience is remarkable. Survives the Lin Kuei, survives the Cyber Initiative, survives the second MK tournament, survives Khan's invasion, survives Scorpion dogging him left and right until the latter remembers to put his contacts in, and finally figures out this is not the Sub-Zero he's looking for, but then still hunts him some more for a while because he thinks this other Sub-Zero killed his clan. Bro, hire a detective next time. Your intuition sucks. In the MK9 timeline, they turn him into a Borg, kill him, damn him to the Netherrealm, enslave him to Quan Chi as a Revenant, and all that did is give him mild indigestion because he's back in action, alive and kicking, chilling in the mountains in the sequel. Sub-Zero has the highest survivability in the entire franchise, and that's even reflected in the number of games he starred in, because he starred in all of them. He's the one character that's never missed a single game. He's iconic, he gets shit done, he's a survivor, a key ally of Earthrealm, and one of the few Mortal Kombat names that yields the character when you Google it instead of the thing he stands for. Sub-Zero goes straight to the top of this mount. The 4th slot is the trickiest because all these other motherfuckers are as effective as a chewed up condom. Fujin does nothing, the bots do nothing, the ninjas do nothing, Kitana brokers one little piece between ropers and unicorns, but it doesn't last. In fact, all the Edenians are pathetically ineffectual and can't keep their realm safe for more than 2 seconds at a time. Kotal's the biggest fucking loser in all the realms. Kung Lao gets killed 4 times in 3 games. Cassie defeats corrupted Shinnok, which feels like the most laughable, forced, wishful thinking, non-canon ending that's somehow canon, so I won't acknowledge that in any way, shape, or form. Plus, she does nothing else. Devora accomplishes a fuck ton in X and 11. Too much, and I would let myself be consumed by maggots before I put that yellow dung beetle anywhere near this cliff. So we have a bit of a problem. 98% of this cast is useless. We somehow got through 12 games worth of story, without much of anything happening. The only way you can fill this 4th spot is by cheating and putting both sorcerers up there as a single unit. Because individually they both fall apart, right? Shang doesn't get anything done by himself in any of the games. You could argue he's the one who revived Sindel in the original timeline, so that's something I guess. Even if it was at Shao Kahn's orders. But in the newer timeline it's Quan Chi that both suggests the deed and carries it out. So they're kind of fighting for the same accomplishments. He fools some people and defeats some people in Aftermath, but of course he's outsmarted and ultimately defeated by the end, so it doesn't matter. And then Quan has the same problem. He's a dumb cock-headed fuck who gives himself away as Scorpion's clan's killer for no good reason and gets imprisoned in the Netherrealm for it. I suppose he does manage to escape and co-opt Draman and Moloch to impede Scorpion, and finds the Dragon King's undead army, and brokers an alliance with Shang, and does play Shao Kahn like a fiddle in 9, weakening both Outworld and Earthrealm in the process, and paving the way for the Netherrealm's invasion, but gets nerfed into oblivion in MKX and gets his pasty white nutsack squished. Individually, both sorcerers struggle to earn their place on the wall. But together, they kill Liu Kang, depose Shao Kahn, revive Onaga's armies, defeat all the heroes, they beat the game, they win at the end of a Mortal Kombat game, that's canon, defeat Raiden in Mortal Kombat, that's also canon, and they do most of that within the span of like a Super Bowl intermission. So together, they're pretty damn effective. I'm not gonna cheat and put 5 characters up there though, so whichever one of these 2 knuckleheads does more than the other is winning this battle. And unfortunately for Shang, he got no chance against Boobface. Yes, he kills Liu Kang, but it was only because of Quan's intervention. Before that, he looked like he was about to get his shit pushed in, and he's been defeated by Liu before, so that one doesn't count. Quan also survives Scorpion's molesting and escapes the Netherrealm like I mentioned, retains Shinnok's true amulet, he's the one who discovers Onaga's army, approaches Shang and proposes they team up, and ultimately defeats Shang Tsung after Raiden is dealt with, and clearly escapes Raiden's God Blast last second. So Quan gets the 4th spot like it or not. Quan's not gonna like this next category though, and as much as I could probably dream up a dozen more categories, I'll limit myself to just an additional one. Cool factor. There is no universe in which I mention cool factor and not carve Sub-Zero's face into the mountain immediately, even if just for the sake of the pun. But if it makes you feel better, we can go with the original Sub-Zero from the original timeline because he's slightly cooler and more mysterious. Arguably. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. It's more or less the same thing. Noob's definitely cool, but he's too much of a bitch in all the games to take seriously. A lot of you will advocate for Reptile. He's like the quintessential cool, mysterious character. Except most of his incarnations are, let's face it, anything but cool, devolving into various frog-like monstrosities and getting himself killed and possessed in his own endings. Tremor's pretty damn cool and has a bigger fan base than he has a right to, but he's appeared in like 1.5 games and isn't well known enough overall. Liu Kang isn't really cool so much as he's upbeat and powerful. Hotaru's beautiful but insipid. The ladies are more hot than cool. Quan insta-fails. Shang is one of the coolest characters by default, but his MK9 and MK12 portrayals drag him down quite a bit, particularly the MK12 one, which is Shao Kahn's extremely cool but has the same problem as Shang. The recent incarnations are a bumbling, block-headed, butt-voiced buffoon. Kano's gross, Devora's gross, the Shogun are gross, Jax is a cripple, Kenshi's blind, Cabal's asthmatic. Okay, let's stop beating around the bush. Scorpion has to be up there. Again, I know, he's becoming as ubiquitous as fucking Batman, but the truth is the ninjas are the coolest characters, and Scorpion's the coolest one of them all. Ironically, because he's a fire ninja. Whatever other ninja you bring up, Scorpion's cooler than them. Tremor's cool, Scorpion's cooler. Ermac's cool, Scorpion's cooler. Rain is cool, but he fights with a water gun. Scorpion's cooler. Smoke is cool, but he's a carbon copy of Scorpion. Conclusion, Scorpion's cooler. It's just the combo of kunai plus harpoon plus undead plus fire powers plus ninja plus mask plus white eyes plus the coolest catchphrase in fiction is hard to beat. And indeed isn't beat in this case. As for the 3rd and 4th slots, I'm gonna YOLO it without thinking about it much, because that's more fun, and otherwise I'd just end up picking only ninjas, which is boring. Here we go. Number 3 is Aaron Black. This motherfucker's introduction in MKX made me go, we are so back. Because it had been a while since they created a character that was as cool as the original ninjas, but ninja plus cowboy plus mercenary plus mysterious backstory did the trick for me. They totally wasted the character, of course, but conceptually, visually, gameplay-wise, this is hands down one of the coolest characters I've ever seen in any Mortal Kombat game. If you think about it, Aaron checks a surprising number of faction boxes. He's basically a ninja, has a mask, has a ninja slide, he operates as an assassin many times. He's also a mercenary like Kano, so he taps into that whole flavor. He's unaging and bewitched by sorcery like Shang and other long-lived characters. He's from Earthrealm but moved his home base to Outworld. He's a gun wielder like Stryker and Cassie, and he's a cowboy from a bygone era. That's a pretty cool mix of elements that encompasses many of the cool categories of characters and elements Mortal Kombat has to offer. And the absolute final fourth character is Kung Lao. Yes, he's a bitch in the games. Yes, they don't do anything with him. But the fact that he's popular in spite of all those things is impressive. For me, he's cooler than Raiden, so he wins the Battle of the Hats. Everything about this character was designed to be cool, from the garb to the stance to the Wing Chun multi-fisting to the powers to the wind abilities to the ingenious iconic hat usage. It's just every pore exudes cool. Even his voice acting is always dope, whereas Raiden sounds like a text-to-speech prompt. Pre-ChatGPT era. He's definitely cooler than Liu Kang. He's the coolest non-ninja Earthrealmer. I can't think of any foreign realmer that's this cool. I'm going with Lao. Cry about it. So now we're gonna cross-reference all the characters from all the categories and pick the most common ones and thus build the one true, objective Mount Rushmore of MK. And this might shock you, you're absolutely not ready for the true Mount Rushmore as the same characters that we started with. So yeah. Subscribe. Special thanks to Jiggly Puff Puff, Serhi Hrishin, Clocks, Juan Bautista Cortez, Gennaro Chanella, Blood Milk, as well as my other members for being irresponsible enough with their spending to support the channel.